All right, so we're recording, and stories from the voices within. A pair of concerts coming up April 25th and 26th with SOLI Chamber Ensemble. Stephanie Key, clarinetist and director of the group. Hi.
How are you, John? It's great to talk with you.
I wish I was outside on the porch there. It looks gorgeous there in San Antonio.
A nice day so far.
And one of the composers, violinist, old friend Darian Thomas is joining us. Hi, Darian.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. I'm glad to see that your hair is still incredibly awesome. I have a picture of us at the Texas Public Radio studios, and so that's cool.
Yes, pleasant memories for sure.
Well, this is a really cool program. There's a beautiful piece by our friend Aaron J. Curtis, Chick Corea, who was such an amazing jazzer, composer, dad, grandfather, just passed with these lovely children's songs that you guys are going to play. And then Darian's piece here. Stephanie, how did you guys decide to come up with this program?
You know, this has been a long time in coming. We've been, not to make Darian feel tiny and small and like a kid, but it's been a joy to watch his career from a young violinist in the youth orchestra programs in San Antonio, and which I also was, so that's makes it even more special. And we have the joint connection too of having gone to the same high school here in San Antonio too, so we've got a lot of ties that bind. But he really came off the map for us when he was the intern at the children's chorus in San Antonio with Ann Schelling, who was their executive director at the time and who's now our new managing director with SOLI. But he was the intern and was doing so much with her, and just watching this intelligent young man be so involved with what we were doing, and to talk with him about projects that he was working on, groups he was working with, creating groups, and just playing, just being so active that he was this spark. And Ayrton at the time was our violinist. Ayrton Torgel was our artistic director and managing director at the time. And, you know, he'd been saying, God, you know, we really need to work with this guy. We need to do something. And, you know, there's a million of ideas like that happen all the time, as you remember, John. And so, you know, he went off to Brooklyn to, you know, start his career up there, and it never really left. It's like a little splinter in your pinky. Kept thinking about Darian, and then all of a sudden, you know, oh, Darian's in this newspaper, and he's doing this project, and he's working with this ensemble, all these things. And it was like, it's time that we do this. And you know, especially at a time like right now with the pandemic, of reflecting on what's important. And as Soli's always done, you know, we want to find and work with new composers, emerging composers, and relevant composers, and everything just pointed directly in Darian's direction. And making that phone call and asking Darian, do you want to win the lottery? You know, do you want to write a new piece? You know, we want this. We really want this from you. And he said yes. And it kind of flourished from there.
So, Darian, what happened? You get the call, and tell us how you came about here. And I guess I should ask I love there's what might be the internet symbol for hug, or parenthetical, double parentheses. Tell us a little bit about the title and what happened after you got this call.
Of course, yeah. Well, I think we first talked about it sometime in August, maybe. So like, all the pandemic stuff was super happening, and it was kind of a low point in the year. And I don't know, it was just really beautiful to have this new project that was super exciting with an ensemble that I'd wanted to work with for so long, coming from back home. It felt like such a comfort in a way, and such an encouragement and validation. So I was just super excited immediately. And then when we started conceptualizing the team, and when SOLI was like, we also want to do something with the poet laureate of San Antonio. And you know her, right? You know Andrea Vocab Sanderson. And I was like, yeah, we were in a band together. So that would be really, really fun. I would love that so much. And then I was like, we should bring in Tamara as well. We should just make it a whole fun thing with all these people that I used to work with when I was here. Um, Thinking about it, I was just like, I've come far. I still have a long way to go. I still have a lot of things I want to do with my career, but I've gone really far from like when I was in high school here in San Antonio, or from when I was in college, and even the things that I wanted to do have kind of shifted around, right? Um, and I thought about expanding that outwards, and like, there's a concept of when I get back to San Antonio, I'll be there, I'll be here, right? And that's one level of presence. But then there's also the level of all the things that the people in my immediate vicinity and my family had to do to get me to that point, right? The people who studied music in the past, the people who gave up an artistic career so that they could go into something more serious or solid, so that later generations could do what they wanted to do. And now I'm here in that way. And then even further back, like all the way to the people who were on slave ships and came here and had to fight through the history of our country, which has always been pretty violent, or the people who chose to jump ship, and that spirit as well that ended up coming here and that we always call on as like Black, Indigenous people of color. It's also here. So it's this rippling out effect of presence, of all these different narratives that helped us get to this point. And the piece kind of works as a bit of a past, present, future assessment. You know, it's like, here's what has happened, here's darkness, and we can confront that. Here's where we are at, here's the kind of strength that you need in order to move forward. And then here's the kind of joy that we can use moving forward, and the kind of joy that we can use as protest. Um, and yeah, then the piece materialized really quickly. And I don't know, it's been so fun to make and so fun to hear the rehearsals.
And it's multifaceted, you know, there's, as he said, there's the vocal, there's the poetry, there's the music, there's the dance, and there's visuals as well. He's creating a amazing video component that's going to go with it too. So, and acoustic and electronic, and it's just, it's truly is the whole thing. It's every part.
We're excited about Stories from the Voices Within, taking place April 25th and 26th. There's more information at solichamberensemble.com. We're speaking with Darian Thomas, the composer and violinist, and Stephanie Key, clarinetist. And, you know, it's been a kind of a crazy year. You guys could just follow back on old favorites. It could go just with pre-recorded things. You're advancing into new music, and I know that's been a great, you know, rich history that you guys have commissioned works. Is that even more so these days, in keeping that sort of mission of we're going to do something with local composers or folks that have been here and share these sort of things? Because you could just, you know, play Messiaen, you could just play, you know, intimate, but you know, you guys are going into new waves.
Absolutely. You know, even going back to last summer, you know, we were, of course, separate. All four of us were in different parts of the country, and we had to do something, you know, I mean, not only to nurture our friends and audience, but to nurture ourselves. And so we basically thought through repertoire, some that we had already played, but some new works, and we created moments of solicitude, SOLI being built into solicitude there, to create moments of comfort. And so we had kind of it was the hope, of course, is, you know, let's do it weekly, but then we realized how much work creating each of these little videos was going to be, and it was like, okay, do we want to spend all of our time doing this? But so they became bi-monthly, but it was so important, I think, to be giving composers those moments of sunshine too, you know, of this ensemble is bringing my work during a silent period where we're just dead in the water, a chance to shine, you know. And we did Kenan Azme has a beautiful duo for clarinet and cello, and we played a couple of movements from that. You know, we've just all these different things. There's a wonderful solo violin piece by Chen Yi called Memory that Ayrton had played last season and did a video for that. So, you know, just giving people, everybody, the opportunity to be heard, to hear, to perform, to do that. But yeah, I mean, to your point, it was, nothing stands still. We still look at this year where we feel like it was, like Darian and I were talking about, a bit of kind of arrested development, but it wasn't, right? I mean, we've become more, we've found more of ourselves through this passive, quote unquote, time. I mean, there's so much that this time has taught us if we're listening. I know a lot of people are very critical, and they feel that they've lost so much during this time, but I think truly we're richer for it. If nothing else, it gives us the mindfulness of where we are now, what we have to be grateful for. And yeah, I mean, San Antonio, I mean, Darian said it also beautifully in how he's woven it into his piece, but San Antonio in particular is so rich in its history, in what's here in this city, the people that are here. And so next season, we're building more on that too, with some local regional composers too and things. But yeah, I mean, there's so much relevance to be heard. There's so many things. So yeah, it's a business as usual with SOLI in the future, that this is truly our mission, our devotion is to create, to help people create and give them that platform.
Stories from the Voices Within comes up the 25th and 26th of April. The next month concert, Time, A New Beginning, on May 16th, and May 30th, Worlds Collide. SoliChamberensemble.com, more information. Darren, I wanted to talk to you a little bit as a composer. As an artist, we sometimes have to be sort of alone, sort of the process is sort of a lonely process, but we're used to having been being with an ensemble or with an orchestra or with a choir, and hearing the music. And this has been sort of odd in the pandemic to sort of reach out. Was it kind of neat to know that this piece was going to be played and that you were on the program with Chick Corea and Aaron J. Curtis? Talk to us a little bit about having SOLI do this and the process you went through.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, it was a beautiful idea that this would happen IRL, in like the real places and botanical gardens, in like a beautiful setting where I could tell a lot of my friends who maybe, what's the way to say this? A lot of people who weren't in close proximity to all the stuff I've been doing for the past couple of years, like, hey, you can go to this thing and physically be there, and you can feel the things about my music that I'm kind of priding myself on now. This like weird, nuanced physicality of being in the space of the wiggly air that I make, like it's strange, the things that I've come to really care about with my compositions, but that's one of them. It's like when you're in the space of it, it does a certain thing in a live setting, I found. So the idea that that gets to happen here, and that like my parents get to be there, that a lot of my family gets to be there, a lot of my friends get to be there, it's really beautiful, and I'm super excited about that. And yeah, of course, the program's going to be strong. Like any program that SOLI puts on is always so remarkable and exciting. And I'm really intrigued by the prospect of like all those juxtapositions informing each other. I think it's going to be super cool. And yeah, there's like a loneliness to the creation, to being a composer, right? To being an artist. But I think I kind of favored having a bit of time off from all the performing that I was doing, because it definitely did get almost unhealthy. I think, as like young musicians, which I'm coming out of, but we're always trying to just work and work and work as though we have something to really prove, because we kind of do. But I don't know. It was nice to be like, oh, nothing's really happening this year in public, so I guess I'm composing a lot. And then to have a lot of people ask me about compositions, and to just get to know my pedal board a lot better, and be in my room recording myself and making these like weird electronic string orchestra things on my own. It helped me center myself a lot, and it also helped me remember who I was writing for. I think in a weird way, I was still writing for like academic approval, and like that little vestige of school was still in me. But as the quarantine and like everything kind of falling apart, the question came up of like, do these institutions still actually exist? And if they don't, then who am I writing for? And I came back to, well, I'm writing for people, which means that the way I go about a lot of these elements should probably shift a little bit. and just be, you know, considerate of the ears that are taking in whatever I'm doing, and just make sure like communication is a thing. Make sure style fits in the ears of whoever is alive right now, and things like that. There's a line in the piece. It's like it starts as a, you know, your typical classical vibe, and it's beautiful. And there are a couple of like art song type moments, and then at the end it's just 80s synth pop, uh, because I'm like, that's where we are. That's what like pop artists are doing right now. That's what to hear, and I think Tchaikovsky would have done the exact same thing. So there's no reason not to do it, and I think it'll be fun for people in the audience. You know.
Darian Thomas, composer, violinist, the program Stories from the Voices Within with SOLI Chamber Ensemble. It's coming up April 25th and 26th, 7:30. It is a lovely program at the San Antonio Botanical Garden, the Betty Kelso Center, and Griggy Lawn. Lovely space. Looking forward to it. Again, more information at solichamberensemble.com. Stephanie, any last words for folks thinking about coming to the concert, streaming it? Tell us any final thoughts about this lovely program that has Darian's new work, a piece by Aaron J. Kernis, and of course, the late Chick Corea.
I think only just that this concert couldn't have existed without the pandemic, because Kernis's work, which will actually also be somewhat a world premiere, the work was written during the pandemic because of the pandemic, and it's a tribute, it's a memorial to those we've lost. It's an elegy truly for that, and it's with a video element that he created with a New York videographer, because he had COVID, and in recovering from this truly felt the weight and the necessity of creating a work like this, similar to what Darian is saying, of really just of touching people where they are. And it's so he actually wrote it for violin and piano for SOLI to be able to play. So this will be the first performance of that. And then, yeah, I mean, losing Chick Corea, the importance of playing these pieces was to memorialize him too. So it's kind of, you know, past, present, and then future. If you look at the arc of Darian's piece is also the arc of this concert. So we end with the hip hop happiness taking us forward into a better place. So it'll be a thrill to share this entire concert with our audience this weekend.
Well, Stephanie, it's great to see you. Darian, so good to see you. You guys, please stay safe. Stay positive and test negative.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Will do.